Hey, what's up, everybody? Isaac back here with you for a new episode of The Unorthodox Social Worker, where we do talk all things social work from an unorthodox perspective, reporting live to y'all from San Francisco. I don't know if y'all can see in the background, but I'm here at the little park by where the Full House houses are. I don't know if you can hear them. There's some French tourists in front of me getting to their car, but yes, if you do like this type of content, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring that notification bell. And if you would like to know some more further information about my background information about myself as a social worker, please watch one of my first two videos where I do go into more detail. So, the topic at hand today, I just read an article to kind of roll off the homelessness issue. And basically, this article is talking about a parking lot that they will be opening up in San Francisco in order for homeless residents to park their cars and live in this parking lot overnight in their cars rather than park their cars, let's say, on the street of San Francisco and in front of your houses and all that good stuff. So basically, I'm not going to read the article, but because it's very brief. But to give you an overview, it's talking about how they're going to open up this site on, I believe, Mission and Geneva, so over there by City College and the BART station, and this will be open for 30 slots for cars, people who are homeless to be living out of their car, and I guess RV. I don't know if that was clarified. I don't know how they're going to prioritize who gets in there, whether it's people that were homeless in that district as opposed to other areas. I do not know the details, but that would be interesting to know. And it did say, I believe there's going to be some type of security there as well as some type of social worker to hopefully connect people to social services, housing, employment, and all of that good stuff. When I'm looking at the pros and cons, the only cons I could really see is that maybe people think that by hosting this site that it will encourage homeless people to flock to that site, and thus there will be more homeless individuals in the neighboring areas around this parking lot, and then perhaps maybe people who live in the area would worry, that the stigma, the problems that are stigmatized for homeless people, that maybe those problems such as crime, drug abuse, and things of that nature might come to their neighborhood due to the parking lot being there. And maybe they think it's going to, property owners think it's going to decrease their property value, which I actually wouldn't mind because it's really too darn expensive to buy a property in San Francisco. So I wouldn't even mind if the property values went down here, because they are kind of ridiculous. But again, I guess those are some legitimate concerns that do play into factor, that maybe the neighbors that live in that area do have some concerns, which I just listed. And the only other negative I think about it is it's not enough help. They should really be getting people providing indoor shelter or provide more than 30 spots, because I know there's probably way more than 30 homeless people, households living in their cars in San Francisco. And this kind of brings me into, there's kind of an increasing epidemic here in the Bay Area of a lot of people living out of their cars. Perhaps they got evicted, got an injury, loss of income, or whatever. They became homeless. And instead of going straight to the streets, these people are living out of their cars, maybe getting a gym membership to utilize the shower, and are, to the outside world might not appear to be homeless people because they're still working. They still are maintaining hygiene and doing day-to-day things, but they are not, they're living out of their car. They're obviously homeless. And when I was looking at the statistics and the increase in homelessness in San Francisco and in Oakland, we have double-digit increases. I believe in total it's like 30-40%, increase in homeless in San Francisco and Oakland. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a large increase in people becoming homeless and living out of their cars, as opposed to living on the street. And if you notice something, actually, in San Francisco, the biggest places that had actually ridiculous raises in homeless individuals increases was like residential areas like the Richmond District, I believe the Excelsior, where this parking lot is being facilitated, in other areas like the Sunset. And I'm actually from the Richmond District, and I'm there a lot, and I haven't seen a huge increase in people living outdoors. So I'm gonna just guess that a large increase in these homeless individuals are probably those living out of their cars. And because perhaps the city has become more strict about enforcing people sleeping overnight in their cars in the more central areas of town, maybe downtown, the Mission, other areas like that, that because they're being kicked out of those areas, that now maybe they are possibly migrating to more residential areas where they are less likely to be noticed, less likely to be messed with, and asked to move by law enforcement or business owners or whoever. So it's kind of interesting how people are over complaining about homeless people by their business or their home. Now that looks like people are going to more residential areas of the city as opposed to being in central areas. So I thought that is kind of an interesting factor in this whole thing. And I really do kind of want to talk about what it's like to be, even though I've never been homeless out of a car, I could give you a little perspective. I've worked with a lot of clients who have lived out of their cars before, and you just gotta, it's so easy to be homeless in a car and then all of a sudden fall into the street, and then everything falls apart. For example, I think even I was reading an article about San Mateo County, how about because it's so expensive to live in that county, that I think this elementary schools, that something like half of the families were living out of their cars, of people who had children in the public schools in San Mateo counties. So it is a crazy epidemic, kind of unspoken thing that needs more light shed on it, because a lot of people are going through this experience. But here, especially in San Francisco, parking and citation is really crazy. There's very little parking. They're quick to give out citations. You have to pay all your tickets before they'll even renew your registration, things of that nature. The laws are very confusing. I remember once I was parked on 6th Street, on South of Market, and one of the signs said it was fine to park, and then another sign said it was fine to park. But then there's apparently some other sign that I didn't see posted on a building that said you can't park here during rush hour. I had band practice. I didn't see that sign, and when I had gone back to the car, I'd realized it'd been towed, and I had to go to the lot. And thankfully, I had the whatever it was, the $600 to get out of the lot. And if you don't have that money, the longer it stays in the lot, the higher the price the bill becomes to get it out. So where it could even become the price to get it out of the impound is more than the value of the car. So what's the point of even retrieving that car back? Luckily, I was enough to pay that, and then also they tack on another ticket for towing and another couple $100. So close to $1,000 just to get your car back. Now, if you are somebody that's already been evicted, homeless, you are living in crisis instability, if your car gets towed, right, or you've accumulated too much tickets that you can't pay, your car gets impounded, you go from having this secure, you're homeless, but at least you have the car to kind of protect you, gives you a secure place to store all your items. It's a source of transportation. So something as basic as car tickets, to where even it's difficult for the average person that's not homeless to pay these tickets, fees, impound fees, just to simply get their car back or get a boot off their car. That's going to set that person back financially to even get it back, if they can get the car back. And then once their car is gone and you're homeless, where are you going? You're going to be on the street. So I do know a lot of stories of people who were living in their cars, maybe doing Uber, doing other jobs, even though they're homeless, kind of living somewhat of a normal life. But boom, they had too many tickets, they got towed, and all of a sudden, bam, just like that, they're out on the streets. and the situation and the direness of their homeless situation has exponentially grown, not to mention the financial liabilities that you gain from these tickets, and then maybe, who knows, you can't get your license back. Maybe you had a job driving Uber, for example, your car gets towed away, your income is gone. Your job depends on your car. So it's just like rapid deterioration of a situation when a car is gone. So with that in mind, I do think this is actually positive that people are being allowed to park their cars overnight, because they can rest a little bit easier, that no one's going to wake them up in the middle of the night and ask them to move or be confrontational. And there's gonna be security there, so it's gonna be safer, not even people asking them to move, but people trying to rob them or steal stuff from them. That could be highly eliminated from people being in this sanctioned parking lot. And just by the fact that you're giving people a place to put their car, that's going to highly reduce the probability that they will pile up tickets, get their car towed and impounded, and then even be set back further and further in their instability. So definitely props to the city for doing this. I do feel it's kind of like a harm reduction model. Like, they can't provide them indoor shelter, which is what the goal should be, to provide all homeless individuals indoor shelters with legitimate services. This I kind of see as somewhat of a band-aid, but for those who maybe choose to live out of their car, don't want to go into the shelter, gain some type of security for their automobile, I do think this is a good step in the right direction. So definitely props. I mean, I know the title of the article gave the mayor the props, and it's kind of funny, whenever a city does something bad, the mayor always gets blamed or praised. And who knows, maybe they're just doing this as a political agenda, and maybe not to really help the people. But I think that it's kind of a band-aid, and overall it is a positive thing. So that's my video for today. Please let me know your guys' opinions. Please add some comments in the bottom. We're getting some decent traction with this channel. Please, everybody, do me a favor. Hit that like and subscribe button right now, because the more likes, subscribes I get, the more my video comes up in the algorithm of YouTube. But that's it. Isaac reporting to y'all from San Francisco, unorthodox social worker. Have a good one.